What's up, guys? My name is Jason Alexander. Today's date is August 8th, 2020. I'm currently 19 years old, going on 20 years old. I have recently founded my first company. Not my first company, but my first real company, which is Ocean Connection Incorporated. I've just recently purchased the first ever vehicle for deliveries, which that within itself is pretty cool. But yeah, I just kind of had this idea of me just, I've been reading a lot of books and stuff, and I was like, I think it would be really cool to kind of categorize like the stuff that I've learned from books or just learned experience, from 0 to 19 years of my life. And I was like, I'm about to, go to this inflection point where I'm not a teenager anymore, and I just wanted to see what stuff, if I'm not here anymore, what stuff I would want future generations to see. And if I, not here, like what is the legacy that I could leave, even if I can't make my company successful, because I really want to make sure that I'm doing really good things. So, so here's just some wisdom from Jason, as I like to call it, and it's gonna be really cool. I'm gonna try to do this again in a year and just try to see some new things that I learned, and if I can just share like a check in every once in a while of a new thing that I learned. And going right into it, the first thing that I've written down on my notebook here is that you got to learn constantly and constantly seek different perspectives and challenge what is considered to be the status quo as often as possible. This is very critical for people that are not like the people that go out and are the first person to talk in a conversation, the people that are very timid and shy. Make sure that if you're not speaking up, you're thinking deeply. Because I know a lot of people that they use not talking as a means of not making themselves look dumb, and which is good. But the thing is, you have to make sure that you're challenging these things, even if it's not a rhetorical conversation, that you're challenging them deep within yourself and in communicating to others, whether that's through Discord or some other service of just talking and communicating worldviews to different people. And don't become a part of groupthink, no matter what kind of thing. Like I'm a Christian myself. That'd be also a good thing to note right now. I'm 19 years old. I'm a Christian. I believe that God and all that stuff. But like even with Christians, it's like if we become this sort of groupthink that we don't question what our pastor says, or that's how we can become a cult, or we can become things that are outside of what is truly good and truly prosperous. If we just only look at traditions and the way things have been done before as a way that we should do things in the future, that's a fallacy within itself. And then going off of that same point, don't ever let someone's opinion overpower or overshadow, your own sense of self. But still keep an open mind and be willing to admit if you're wrong. And that's also how respect is made. Respect is not made based off of you being the best at something. Respect is made, it can be made after you respecting something, but respect is really made if you are really good in a field and you have someone go up and say, hey, we could do this system better, we could optimize this way or do this thing differently, and it'd make a better end result. And you can see it, and they are right. Be willing to admit that you messed up and that you made a mistake. This is something that politicians and 90% of CEOs just don't do. Because if they admit that they made a mistake, they're going to be out of CEO and they're gone. And they're going to go get some other guy to do the same job. Make sure that you are not one of those people and that you admit mistakes even if it's hard. Because if you make a mistake and you say, hey, I made this mistake, you're going to be able to move forward and move on versus the person that just has to act like everything's okay. And going on off of people that are leading things, be a leader as early and often as possible, especially when everything is looks impossible or sucks, which was the word I used. um a really good example of this is, when I was in high school, um we completely got our butts kicked by this other football team my senior year named La Junta, right? And pretty much by us losing that game, we lost our chance at going to the playoffs, right? And in that moment, I knew that I could either just move on, act like this is a failure, or use this as a building block, as a way to build my character and my leadership skills. And if I'm able to do this, it's going to make sure that I can lead future teams better. And I say, hey, we took a loss today. And that's where we don't ever act like losing is something to be, encouraged. Our goal is not to lose, our goal is to win. But we can accept losses and learn from them. And we can apply the same concepts that you used in football or sports into the next step in your life. And that's when it sucked. And there wasn't a whole lot of upside for me to be a leader then, or me to step up and be a leader. And, it's not just about, being captain of the football team or the wrestling team and just saying, oh, I'm the stuff. It's about doing the things that leaders do, which is, working harder. And being a leader doesn't have to mean that you're the guy, that you're the number one person in a company, or that you're a higher up. It's like, no matter what role you have, you're a father, mother, brother, sister, you need to lead in some way. And if you give yourself the ability to lead and you try to put yourself in positions to lead early and often, you're going to be a better person overall. And you're going to be able to create a better impact for those around you and create a more self-sufficient group of people around you, because you're going to be building people up. And then here's just some kind of stuff that goes into self-motivation that I've been using right now. Don't get me wrong, I mess things up all the time. I'm not perfect by any means, but this is stuff that I've been using recently. For doing anything, whether you want to start a diet, or you want to start a company, or you want to go work out, or you want to, drink more water, you need to use self-motivation as your kindling for your fire. That you can use this, like, progressing through things as like you're building your fire and you're trying to build this really big bonfire. And you have to start with self-motivation. If you start with external motivation, you're going to lose, because you can get really motivated in the moment. But if you aren't self-motivated and self-driven, then you're going to fail. If I'm banking on Jerry over here telling me when to wake up and go run with me, I'm going to lose. But if I'm determined and self-motivated within that, to the point where I'm holding myself accountable, and then on top of that I have people, then it's a much harder wall to break down. Because then you have two levels of separation from you missing your goal. And then going along with that, using that kind of example of working out, do something that sucks every day under your own fruition. If you hate your job, do something that sucks. Like, sucks does not have to be like going and punching yourself in the face. I'm talking about stuff like doing things that, might seem bad and that you don't want to do, but that are good for you. Like, one thing that I've been adopting recently is doing cold showers in the morning. And dude, that is like taking 15 Red Bull. I swear, you cannot be tired after you take a cold shower. It wakes you up for the whole day. Like, I woke up at 5:30 today. It's almost 10 and I still feel great. So doing something like that, but it doesn't have to be that. Like, imagine that you hate your job currently and you want to do something else. Well, you can use that time. Actually, Casey Neistat talks about this. You can use that time to then plan, and you realize by doing something that sucks under your own fruition, that